The amount of zinc is 35 to 50 milligrams per day. We have a product called Magic Minerals that has what you need in it. You take 4 of these capsules a day, it covers it. And so I put everybody that I've got on thyroid disease on this stuff. So I wanted to wrap it with stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com. You can go on there and read about what we have to offer. We're at the intersection of I-4 and 434, which is just north of Orlando. We can be reached at, again, stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com, stagesoflifevitamins.com, Stages of Life Radio, Facebook, YouTube. We are all over the place, and I'd like to put a plug in, if I could, for the sister company, which is Florida Laboratory Analysis. And what we do there is COVID testing, and we do it accurately, we do it inexpensively, and we do it fast. And we can be reached at 407-636-3945, 407-636-3945. We do employer testing, group testing. We do entire schools. And we'll get the results out quickly so you can get back to life. Nobody wants to be waiting around forever. And that is at 407-255-4371. And again, this is Dr. David Klein with Stages of Life.
You got about a minute left, Doc. Is there anything else you wanted to get in there if you're going a little more detail about the COVID testing?
Yeah, actually. Okay, so here's the deal. Okay, the COVID testing need not take forever. There are people out there that go in and they need to travel, so they need a PCR. It has to be within 36 hours of traveling internationally. Go do that if you have to wait 5 days to get a result. So we're getting lots and lots of people that are coming into the Longwood office in particular, and they want to get their COVID testing and get their results out quickly. And so we can do that at 407-679-3337. That's 407-679-3337. Give us a call, ask us. We'll be happy to. If we can't do it ourselves, we'll tell you how to get it done. We have the answers. You have the questions, we got the answers.
All right, good stuff there, Doc. Appreciate that. Again, you can listen to Stages of Life here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, part of our Ask the Experts Week.
Ask the Experts. Hi, guys.
I am so happy to move over to iHeart.
We're good. Okay, let's.
Now I can put my iHeart shirt on.
You have your iHeart shirt? I don't have an iHeart shirt.
I can make you a banner.
Can you?
Oh, really?
Visit marines.com or call 1-800-MARINES.
One of those purple sashes like the Zag guys do?
Marines.
WFLF Pine Hills, Orlando. WMGF
we're
HD3
We're not live,
Montour,
but we have it.
News
okay.
Radio WFLA Orlando, an iHeart radio station.
Stepping up their criticism.
The
I'm Joe
feed.
Shearer.
Yay, we made it. All right, guys, so the thyroids are fake news hoax.
President's decision to go it alone.
That's our little girl here. She's beautiful, but
they say they're still
anyway.
But vociferous.
She's trying real hard. She really is. There was a whole house full of very loud women earlier.
Really?
Really, it was like a big old magpie party.
I tried to be casual.
You're okay, don't worry about it. So anyway, you know that she's coming.
So drove the youngster crazy, huh?
A little bit, just a little.
Thyroids are fake news hoax. I love
Yeah,
it.
that's pork, Jonathan.
I love it.
He needs money for dippers. They don't know how to spell diapers.
There you go.
Dippers.
Oh, or maybe he just did.
No, it's diapers.
Oh.
DIPA or TP. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. All right, let's see. You're straight there. Looks good here. Are we still live on the internet? We are. Look at that. All right, everybody. Oh, there it is. Magpie Party. Yeah, we're only a little behind.
I love it.
Okay.
Do you want that?
You can see here.
Facebook little thing?
What do you need?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, so we're live at the moment on Facebook and Periscope as well as LinkedIn and also YouTube. We appreciate you hanging out with us. And this is Melissa, in case you hadn't figured it out. But I'm here. Hi. You just can't see me. I don't know why. It's okay. But Doc is here and his beautiful wife as well. And that's cool. That's a lot of cool, actually. Let's see if I can do it. I can't guarantee that it'll work this time.
You've got a great picture of Tess on the air right now.
Who just sent me a video? Oh, you did? Okay.
Just seeing if you're awake.
Oh, that looks good.
Now, news.
Update contact with updated photo.
Positivity rate
Okay.
falls.
All right, let's
Did it
see.
not give you
People
just a
testing
picture?
positive for the
Yeah,
coronavirus.
no,
has
it
dropped
sent
to its
me.
lowest weekly rate since
Well,
early
it's
June.
sorta.
Sorry about
About
that. I meant to send you
8,300
just a
people
No,
picture.
you're
have died in Florida from COVID-19.
All right, so see, she does
State reported
exist. She's
77
here.
more
She
deaths.
exists.
As if
All
the
right,
pandemic
so
has
we
not caused
are
health problems,
4
it
minutes
might have made
away. Look at
mosquitoes
that.
more annoying
Okay.
for people forced to stay home.
We don't need to hear your stinking news. Actually,
We don't need no stinking badges.
You know, the other day I actually gave. You know how they love to give the COVID numbers, which it's like. It reminds me of George Carlin with the numbers for the temperature, that old bit back in the
Yeah.
day. You just throw a bunch of 76, 75. But he would never say what town. He just like, here's your temperatures.
the hippy dippy weatherman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. See, we do know. Anyway, so this is on the website now. Is this it? Oh, this is
On
good.
That was the Facebook.
That was the
thing.
Facebook one?
Yeah, ask her to put that up on the website too. That's good. That was a good.
Okay. You guys cool?
Good
You
fun.
can.
Ask on Monday. I asked
Thyroids
her
are fake
favorite
news.
on
Hi,
Monday.
everybody. So, if you have any questions for Doc, we'll be doing that during the breaks, which seem to be a lot less than longer than they should be, which is good. Look at that. You're gonna. Oh, that one's short. This one's good. Nice. All right. There's a pharmacy specialist. That's your sponsor. That's good. That's good. Let's see what we got here. Hard break. 56. Looks good. Looks like you're getting a lot more show than you're supposed to. Okay.
Cool.
I know, right? That's so cool.
Yeah, it beats the heck out of last week.
It sure does.
Won't
we'll
let
grade
him
up
live.
the traffic.
Won't let him live that
Right,
down.
they're not gonna. You know, there's.
That was bad.
It was
Oh,
pretty.
we forgot to unplug the other guy.
I'm sorry, the other guy didn't disconnect the phone.
Yeah,
That is
is
what happened.
Yeah.
What does that happen?
Well, right. I mean, it takes two people to keep a line open, right? Am I missing something? Oh,
I
yeah.
guess. I don't know. When you dial into the system, you do have to disconnect from wherever you dialed in
Sounds like
from.
a weakness.
It is. It might be. It is kind of weird. Let's see where we're at.
Smoking.
Traffic and
Free
weather.
at becomeanx.org. X, a
Become
new way
an
to think about
X
quitting.
smoker.
Brought to you by X and the Ad Council.
Obesity. Here's a good
For our
one.
troops and their families, the
Yeah, I
military
became
is
an
more
ex when
than a
my
career.
former
It's a
wife
journey.
divorced me.
And every step along the
Snack
way,
before you
the US
shop.
always there.
It's an experience that soldier will never forget. That's what the U.S. soldier does.
Be a part of it.
That's
Learn more
really
today.
good advice.
You shower before you shop?
No, snack. The shower thing too. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy. That was very weird. All right, we're in traffic and weather, and we will be live hot studio in a little bit here.
Drive. We're seeing some delays
Let's see if we have
in that
anything
area.
here.
Also,
We
delays
should
are
have
still
some
building on
music
I-4
that
westbound, just
starts
past Maitland Boulevard. With a crash.
Who knows? We don't know. It's all a mystery to me.
It's great that we can actually see where we are in the show with this. This is like the way it's supposed to be almost.
Yeah, that's what I do. Look, and then look, there are live stations of live blocks. All right. Okay. Hey, everybody. You're getting a look behind the scenes of a professional.
Let's see. Can I see if I can lock up Facebook again?
Damn it, don't do it again. Not lock up Facebook. Dude, you freaked me out just then when you did it. Damn it. Stand by.
It's very funny.
Committed these murders.
The crime is complex.
That's my favorite commercial. People, I don't know, man. I heard broadcasting a lot of podcasts. They're really good. So,
wherever you get your
here we go.
podcasts.
The following is a paid program.
That's us.
The views expressed are those of the host and callers, and not those of News Radio WFLA Orlando, its management, or advertisers.
Okay, we're here.
Here we are. Welcome to the show, everybody. Hi, how are you? It's Melissa Fox and our big buddy here, Dr. David Klein. How are you?
I'm feeling pretty darn good. It's nice that things worked smoothly this time around.
Yeah,
It
I
is
know.
perfect. So thank you to the powers that be at WFLA 93.1 Orlando, because 94.1 too, actually, if you're north of Orlando,
Yeah.
which I am, because we finally got ourselves on time.
Yeah, Stages of Life Radio. Hi, how are you? Melissa Fox helping out Dr. David Klein. The website you can check out is stagesoflifemedicalinstitute.com. If you are interested in any of the products that might be referenced during this show, stagesoflifevitamins.com. And you can always follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and there might be something on Twitter. You just never know.
That's all marvelous. So what are we going to do today? Interesting. Okay, so today, first show, with actually second show with FLA, but the first one that went on air, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to talk about thyroid disease. And why do I want to talk about thyroid disease today? And it's because I'm really tired of talking about COVID. I've been all over Fox News and, all kinds of other media, okay, on this COVID thing. And it's just really kind of boring at this point. Nothing has really changed. It's a disease. It's real. It's not a conspiracy. They would be really good at conspiracy if this were a conspiracy, right? Okay, because if you have 5 friends, you think you can keep a secret amongst 5 people? In the government, you really can't do that at all. In fact, if you have one person with a secret, you can't keep it secret. Ask Sally Yates. Okay, so what are we talking about here? So thyroid disease is something that's very, very important. It's very important to me, okay, personally, because I suffer from hypothyroidism. My daughter, my former wife, my mom, my sister, my wife. It's kind of interesting. It sounds like a conspiracy. But the fact of the matter is that thyroid disease is something that affects about 1/3 of the adult population in this country. I can't speak to what happens abroad because I've really only been there briefly. But in this country, about 1/3 of the adults suffer from hypothyroidism. And so what's this all about? How many of these people are actually diagnosed properly? And the answer is maybe 1 in 5 of those. So thyroid disease is one of the most common diseases that occurs. As we get older, thyroid disease becomes more common. Now you're going to start to say, well, what do I care about this? Well, I'll tell you what. If you suffer from any one of the following diseases or conditions, it can be caused from undetected or poorly treated hypothyroidism. Number 1 would be depression. Number 2 would be heavy irregular menstruation. Number 3, weight loss, okay, if you're hyperthyroid, but weight gain if you're hypothyroid. And weight gain is 2/3 of the population in this country. So if you're hyperthyroid, you get skinny. Hypothyroid, you get fat. Depression, elevated cholesterol, weight gain, sleep disorder, heavy irregular menstruation. It's kind of an interesting mishmash. So how do you know that this is you? And and why should you care? And here's one of the things about diseases. When you watch TV, especially when you watch medical shows, everybody thinks they have that disease. You worry about, oh my God, I think I have a tapeworm. Oh my God, I think I have B12 deficiency. Oh my God, I think I have X, Y, and Z. It doesn't really matter. That's just the way people are. With thyroid disease, you actually got a pretty good chance of having it. And so the fastest way to figure out whether or not you are at risk or whether you might have it is to do something very, very basic, something very, very easy and very inexpensive. Go figure this one out. It's called taking your temperature. And I don't mean sticking one of these little strips across your forehead, because that's nonsense. That's helpful for an infant, okay, because if you don't want to wake them up. Stick a little strip across their head and you'll tell whether or not the liquid crystal says whether or not their forehead has a temperature. It doesn't tell you anything about their core temperature, but you know about their forehead. So what do? Okay, it used to be that we had these thermometers. Inside the thermometer was mercury, okay, and that mercury would expand and you'd be able to read a scale and it would tell you what the temperature was. And the better, more accurate temperatures, especially in kids, were done rectally because you could get a core temperature. Well, the problem is that it's just not the sort of thing you can really do at a stoplight. So people, started doing oral temperatures. And as long as you don't use the rectal thermometer after somebody else uses it, it works just fine. And there's no structural difference between a rectal thermometer and an oral thermometer other than the shape of the bottom of it. Okay, it's a little blunter on the rectal. So what do? You want to take a real temperature, and that would mean putting the thermometer under your tongue. Not waving it across the room like they do at these movie theaters. You're going to come in, we're going to wave this temperature probe at you and pretend that we're actually doing something, okay? Because it doesn't pick up anything. You have to have somebody that is like sicker than stink, okay, to end up with a fever to be picked up on one of those devices. So it's nonsense. So you go to the airport, they wave a temperature probe in front of you. That's not protecting you or anybody else. What you see there is taxpayer waste of money. What they need to be doing is selling thermometers or charging you $1, stick it in your ear and actually get a real temperature. Then you might pick something up. But even at that, does it really do any good? And the answer is no. So what do? You take your own temperature. If your temperature is below 98 degrees before 9 o'clock in the morning, you're probably going to be okay. But if it doesn't break through the 98, 99 range by the end of the day, you may well have hypothyroidism. So what do? Okay, how do you make the diagnosis of thyroid disease after you have a suspicion that you might have it? So your cholesterol is high, okay, and you have to take medicine for it, or they're trying to get you to. That's an indicator that you may have an issue. Why? Because the candy maker called the liver, okay, is actually what makes the cholesterol, right? Most of it is manufactured by you. When your temperature is too low, the liver doesn't work well, and then cholesterol goes up. It's usually a sign that the liver's not working properly. Cholesterol goes up, triglycerides go up. Back in the day before we had TSH, which we'll discuss in a moment, the way you made the diagnosis of hypothyroidism was to feel people's neck, and you'd feel for an enlargement called a goiter. Is it there? Is it there? Let's poke around. Let's pretend. Okay, if you felt something there that wasn't normal, well, they may have hypothyroidism. And then you would do a cholesterol level. And if the cholesterol level were elevated, then you knew they had hypothyroidism. That was how it was done before we had TSH and the thyroid indices themselves. So what do? First thing, okay, if you want to look at yourself in the mirror or look at somebody else in the mirror, if you see what's called the suprasternal notch, there's like a depression, a dip, okay, just over the breastbone before it hits the neck. And you should be able to see a dip there. If you miss that, if it's not there any longer and it's filled in, that is a substernal thyroid. Okay, it's a goiter or the beginnings of one. You have to look at this. And this is the first thing that changes before the neck starts to swell. When you have something that looks like the Michelin Man, there's a little blossoming that, anybody can pick up that diagnosis, or anybody with eyes maybe. So what do? How do we make the diagnosis of thyroid disease? First thing you have to do is go in there and talk to your doctor, because you can't walk in necessarily to LabCorp, Quest, or wherever and say, I want somebody to test me for thyroid disease and I just don't feel like paying for it. No, you got to go to your doctor's office, okay? And then convince them, okay, to do the following. And this is where the real challenge is, okay? Because people, they don't like to be told what to do, and doctors are no different. They don't like to be told what to do either, especially if they don't understand and they don't really necessarily want to go learn about it or read about it, especially from you, okay? So what you want is a TSH, something called a T3, a T4, a TPA, and an ATG. And you're going to go, what are these things? Again, thyroid stimulating hormone, all the docs know how to do that. The T3, T4, most of them know how to do that. But then the TPA and the ATG are antibody tests for the thyroid. Now, we're hearing a lot about COVID with antibodies. You get infected, you develop the antibodies, hopefully, okay, and then that's a good thing. When you have antibodies to the thyroid, it's not a good thing. It's exactly the opposite. This means that you have an autoimmune issue. When you have autoimmune issues, then you end up with hypothyroidism. It makes it a whole lot harder to pick it up.
Let's go ahead and go to a break right now, Dave. And Dr. David Klein is with us right now. Sorry, I'm trying not to cough. And you can check in at 407-422-1212 or text us at 23680. You're listening to Stages of Life Radio on News Radio WFLA Orlando.
That was a good one.
I'm dialed back in. That's just on our part.
Is that Linda's music?
Yeah, something catchy.
Cool.
All right, we're on break for 3.5 minutes.
All right.
Feel free to wander about the building.
So if there's anybody out there on Facebook watching, we're actually taking live calls at 407-422-1212. So if you want to get on air, help us out, ask questions.
Dave has a question. He has a numbness in his left hand. It starts at his shoulder. Any clues? He's going in Thursday to be seen.
Sure enough. Okay, where in your hand is it bothering you? Okay, you have 5 fingers, a palm, and a top of a hand called the dorsum.
It's a little bit to work with, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not enough. Okay.
Not enough information, Dave.
Okay, it's not enough at all. Oh, that was Dave Delgado?
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to be in my office.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Oh, Dave, I'll take care of you when you get there.
Maybe he's helping. He is helping, so.
Yeah, we'll take care of Dave. He's good. He's a good dude. He used to be my landlord at one time.
Really?
Yeah, when I was in a different building. Good guy.
I'm changing something here just so that you know. All right, good guy. Look at that, Dave Delgado. That's what he said. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm seeing you on Thursday.
I didn't quite catch that. I'm going in on Thursday. I didn't read the rest of it. Any clues? Yeah, I'm clueless. I didn't see that you're coming in on Thursday.
I had nothing there either. We are also broadcasting live on the internet, connectionshow.com, livingSexyRadio.com, and yeah. We're
But
just
what can
handling it.
cause? Okay, just for the heck of it.
What can cause it?
What can cause pain in the shoulder and in the hand like that? When you have pain in the shoulder and pain in the hand, look at the elbow. So very, very typically, golfer's elbow will do it. That's medial epicondylitis. So right at the elbow, medial aspect, the flexors of the hand attach, or they actually originate there. But also at that spot is a nerve called the ulnar nerve. So when that area becomes inflamed, it'll cause the hand to get kind of weird, sometimes get a little numb or goofy or achy, and it will cause pain in the shoulder and neck. So that's one possibility. Another possibility is carpal tunnel syndrome can do it. It'll cause referred pain to the neck and shoulder. Biceps tendonitis can do it. Okay, bicipital tendonitis will cause pain behind the shoulder, and it'll cause pain into the hand because of the irritation that sometimes happens with what's called the brachial or the cubital nerve. It's kind of cool. So yeah, there are a bunch of things that can happen that'll do that.
Payments. It's this weekend, Friday through Sunday, only at International Diamond Center.
Connected now. Still have another minute there. Sorry. Just checking stuff here.
That's why we offer
It's kind of interesting getting used to these the different commercial cuts. They're actually interesting when you haven't heard them before. Not that interesting.
Not that
Sounds simple, right? That's because it is. Simply Healthcare offers a variety of Medicare Advantage plans with benefits you can trust, such as zero copay for telemedicine, prescription drug coverage, dental.
Well, I guess we'll
transportation,
find out
and more.
soon enough.
We're here to help. Call us today to find out if you're eligible.
All
to
right,
enroll
coming back
at
in
1-844-47.
27 seconds, so you can see all that. Nice shirt. I don't have one in my closet that I got 10 years ago.
I love it. Oh no, these are good. In fact, this may have been yours. You know, I think I bought this at Goodwill.
All right, stand by. All right.
Start your day with Good Morning Orlando,
Yay!
6 till 9 a.m. on News Radio WFLA Orlando.
It's party game. All right, welcome back. This is Stages of Life Radio. Apparently, we all should clear our throats.
Yes.
Dr. David Klein is with us, Stages of Life Medical Institute. It's Dr. Klein's show, where he's going to talk about all kinds of stuff, but today we've got a lot on the table. Thyroids. You want to check in? 407-422-1212. Again, 407-422-1212. Or you can text in a question if you like at 23680. We also are live on Facebook and Periscope and YouTube, so you can always go back and listen to this later or catch us now at Stages of Life Medical Institute on those various platforms. Dr. Klein, we've been talking about the thyroid. Lots of interesting things about the thyroid today, as well as the quarantine 25.
Yeah, my 25. You know, COVID-19 turned to COVID-25s on my butt. So what am I going to do about it? Probably less pizza. Certainly less pizza. So in any event, so thyroid, okay, or more thyroid actually. You know, it could be my thyroid acting up. I haven't, you know, I went in to have my blood checked 2 weeks ago. I'm due to get my review with my PA, which is actually kind of interesting. So, you know, you go in there to get evaluated by your own employee. And so it's like, well, hey, boss, you know, what do you think of this? So in any event, so it gets interesting, but it keeps it lively. So I haven't even looked at my own lab work, except for the COVID testing, which was negative. So what do we do with thyroid, and why do you care? Okay, because it's extraordinarily common. It's a common cause of basically preventable obesity, preventable cholesterol issues, preventable cardiac issues, preventable depression. You know, it's so simple to treat, so inexpensive, and so easy once you get the diagnosis. So the trick is finding somebody that really understands and cares about what's going on. And that's not so easy. You go in and it's like, oh, you're just another whiny kind of person that thinks that they have what's going on because you read WebMD. So, and that's an unfortunate thing. But it's common out there. People do not listen. They just don't care anymore. And that's true of doctors, nurses. It's true of just about everybody, and it's a shame. So what do you do, and how do you understand how thyroid works? So what the thyroid gland does is it sets and maintains the basal metabolic rate. So what this means to you is it means that it sets your temperature. Your temperature goes up as the day goes on, and your temperature drops. So if somebody asked you, what's a normal human being's temperature, and you come up with the word 98.6, the answer is wrong, because it's only 98.6 briefly during the day. It spends much of the time below that at 97.6, and it'll go all the way up to 99.6. So it will go up and it will go down. So as the day goes on, your temperature goes up, and then it drops in the evening hours as you're trying to sleep. So, what does this mean to you? What it means is that if your thyroid is dysfunctional, something is going to not work. Something is not going to happen the way it's supposed to. So what else can influence thyroid? Does the thyroid break itself? The gland itself in your neck, does it break? Does it become dormant? What happens to it? And so the pituitary gland, by way of the hypothalamus, this is part of the brain, will stimulate the thyroid to create more or create less thyroid as the day goes on, to release it. Okay, so this is the control mechanism. It comes from your brain. It's controlled. Brain itself is controlled by eyes, so it can see whether it's light outside or dark outside. There are a whole bunch of feedback mechanisms that are very interesting, but one of the most interesting is the estradiol effect. So if your estradiol is too little, thyroid doesn't work at all. Okay, which is kind of cool. Why? Because women drop their estradiol levels as they get older. And it's not just your aunt, the elderly aunt, the dried up one. No. It's all of them. Every one of them is going to end up with estrogen issues as they age. And then men, okay, wouldn't you know it? Their estrogen levels climb with age. So it's a little bit easier to pick up thyroid disease in men for this reason, because they're not estrogen deficient. In fact, they're estrogen dominant. They end up with more estrogen than they need, and they end up watching Oprah and daytime drama. It's not a good thing. So what does the thyroid do? Metabolic rate. What else does it do? Okay, now what's a hormone? Let's start with that. So a hormone is a chemical. It's a messenger that creates a situation that makes a gene fire, turn on or turn off. A gene that causes a protein to be manufactured or not be manufactured. And you're going to go, well, why do I care about this? I made it through high school and college and I passed the test. Why do I care? And the answer is this. Because genes fire based upon hormonal influence. But hormones don't operate in singularity. That means they don't operate by themselves. They operate in groups. If it weren't that case, then when a woman's progesterone goes up, her breast would enlarge, but so would her eyeballs. The fact of the matter is, okay, that these hormones act as very much like numbers on a combination lock. So if the numbers are right, the lock opens. But if one of those numbers is wrong, the lock stays shut. So most of your genes stay shut. 15,000 genes, only 1,500 are operating in any particular cell. That's because of this particular phenomenon. So if you can imagine a bank vault with 10 numbers in it, okay, if one of those numbers isn't right, you can't rob the bank. Go figure, unless you're wrapped up in dark mask in Portland, then you just just walk in. So what do we do? Okay, first thing we need to do is to figure out the diagnosis. Second thing is treat it. And how do you treat thyroid disease? You treat thyroid disease by replacing it. Now, one of the things that is generally done is people are told, well, you take T4 and you take it once a day and that's sufficient. Well, your thyroid gland actually kicks up secretion as the day goes on. It drops off as the day eases out. So does it make any sense necessarily to take these pills once a day? Because that was what you were taught in 1950 when they brought this stuff out, 1950. The answer is no. They brought out the combination T3, T4 in actually 1903. It's been around a lot longer than the T4 preps that most people use. So that was around 50 years before this other stuff came out. So what do? Okay, you want the body to convert T4 to T3, and it'll do it on its own, unless you're one person in six where it doesn't, so you need a little kick in the butt. So the way I like to treat thyroid disease is as this. You go ahead and you take your medication as prescribed. But I prefer to divide the dosage unless somebody is extraordinarily lucky. Take it once a day, works out fine for them. But actually, about half the people that I treat need to divide the dose and take one in the morning and one after lunch. That way it loads the medication in during that period of time where you actually have to see the thyroid. So what do I use? Why do I prefer to do it? I use something called Nature Thyroid. I also use Armor Thyroid, WP Thyroid, and to some extent I'll use NP Thyroid. And these are all natural thyroid hormones, T3 and T4 together.
Hey guys, if you're just joining us, we're listening to Stages of Life Radio with Dr. David Klein from Stages of Life Medical Institute. And it is, we're getting a lot of compliments on your shirt. People are watching, and that's a very nice thing.
It's a good shirt.
It is a good shirt.
Yeah,
I like it
Tommy
a lot.
Bahama.
There you go. We had a couple of questions about the COVID hotline that you have set up and exactly what that entails. So if you wouldn't mind diverting from the thyroid for just a second to help us out with the pertinent COVID hotline information and what that all is.
Okay, now I was an analytical chemist before I was a doctor. Okay, so just so we'll understand where I come from on this. So about 3 years ago, I got a little bored and decided that I was going to get into molecular genetics. Okay, so in order to do that, in order to test for molecular genetic diseases in terms of laboratory, which I'm a part owner in Jacksonville, I had to become a molecular geneticist. So I read a book, took a test. The federal government gave me the certificate that said I could do it. So we started getting into molecular genetic identification of diseases. Then COVID hit. Okay, so we're up there taking care of urinary tract infections, bronchitis, diarrhea, and then all of a sudden people are dying of COVID. So we pivoted, the business to start doing COVID testing. So we've been doing this type of testing for over 3 years. Now, why do I mention this? The answer is because we are not new to this. We have been doing it longer than about anybody else around in this part of the country. Excuse me. So what do we do? So we're able to test for COVID in singularity, which means we can bring somebody in and do a nasal swab, which is really not a big deal, and we can talk about that later. And within 36 to 48 hours, we're able to deliver the result that takes many of these laboratories between 5 and 15 days to get back to you. And in some cases, they never send it to you. So it's kind of interesting. So why do we do this? The answer is because it's neat. Okay, it's a challenge. And I like personally to be the best that there is. I have this need, to do this.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and so what do we do? Okay, the company is called Florida Laboratory Analysis, and so I'm the medical director and part owner. So, but the number is 407-636-3945. Call that number, let them know what you need, we'll take care of you. And so, again, it's 407-636-3945. We can do as many as just one person, two persons, a family, or we can do a nursing home with 200 or 300, or an employer with 1,000. I'll be flying up to Minnesota towards the middle of this month where we've got a 30,000 member employer that wants us to work for them. And so we can knock it out. It's not a big problem.
You don't have to go to break yet. We have a couple of questions here.
Sure,
some folks, let's see. Didn't get the foods to eat to help the thyroid on the last show. What foods?
What you really want to look at, Iggy, you're a good man. So what you want to look at, is avoiding certain things. Avoid soy. That's soy lecithin. Very, very important. Second thing is avoiding peanuts. Peanut butter, anything that has peanut in it. And the third thing are garbanzo beans. Hummus, because it contains daidzein and genistein. Those foods contain 2 isoflavones that trash the thyroid. And that's a big problem. Why? Because there are people out there that'll eat bags of peanuts and get fat. There are people out there that'll suck down soy and get fat. So what is it about soy? That's how we fatten cattle. So if you have cattle in a feedlot, you give them soy meal and you give them cornmeal, and they fatten 30% in 6 weeks. That's not what you want to do. So, Iggy, I hope that helped you. And then what you can take to support the thyroid, again, is zinc and selenium. Those 2 minerals are very, very important for thyroid function. So what I use personally is called magic minerals, because it's got the zinc and selenium in the right ratios, as well as vanadium, chromium, boron, magnesium, manganese, calcium. And so it's a pretty good prep, and it's reasonable. So that's what I do. That's how I would suggest it. There are other things you want to do for thyroid, and we can get into that when we come back. There are nutraceuticals that you want to do that are very, very useful for thyroid disease. But if you pick your medicines, you pick your nutraceuticals, you pick your poison, as it were, you can get more than one thing done with it. And that's smart. You know, it's smart. If you had to pick one tool, what would it be? It's something that could do multiple jobs. You know, or protect yourself. You know, so a screwdriver is a good choice and a hammer is a good choice. And then everything else in between is a specialty tool.
If you'd like to text in your questions or anything, comments, again, about Dr.
That's good, though,
Klein's
isn't it?
shirt, it is good.
No, it's a great shirt.
23680 or 407-422-1212. Go ahead, tell me more.
Usually I wear the Stages of Life shirt.
I know.
But I wore this today because it was my mother-in-law's birthday. So I didn't want to wear a corporate shirt to her birthday party.
No, it's fine. That's fine. You're listening to Stages of Life Radio on News Radio WFLA Orlando. And if you are not a patient of Dr. Klein's yet, you should be one. I'm serious.
You're missing out.
You really are missing out. The guy loves a challenge, and he's not one of them that just treats symptoms, which makes me happy because... yeah, but it doesn't make the drug pharma people happy, but it...
Well, the joke is I have a bunch of drug salesmen that are patients of mine.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, they come in to sell me stuff, and they end up as patients.
They end up with the nutraceuticals.
Yeah.
But Stages of Life Medical Institute is right off of I-4 and 434 in Longwood, Florida. Very easy to get to. People make the hop over from the villages all the time. And you do the telehealth visits, but you don't necessarily recommend them.
I don't like them. I think it is a cheapening of medicine. You pay the same. Oh well, you don't have to pay a copay. Guess what? Okay, you're getting a cut down, cheapened version of medical care. And I'll tell you what, I've been doing this for 42 years. If I can't look at you, look at you in the eye, look you up and down. I can't see what's going on with you. And on a television screen, especially a low resolution one, you really can't see what's going on. I certainly can't examine you. I can't watch you walk. I can't watch your posture. So people are doing this telemedicine thing, and they're getting away with it. But frankly, it's poor medicine, in my opinion. And you know, is it fast? The answer is, oh, you betcha. You can get people in and out. You know, make a buck.
Oh, you
but
betcha.
I'll tell you what. I don't think it's a good. You betcha. You know, but I don't think it's a good thing. Do we do it? Yeah. Now, there are times when it makes sense. So if somebody comes in for the first visit, would I ever do a first visit by telehealth? Only if they're in Alaska, and I've done it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because there's no other choice. Or if I've got somebody in Europe, I have no other choice. But I will do it if I have a situation where I've already figured out what's going on, and then I need to do a blood work review. But otherwise, I think it's a really bad idea.
They're calling you Dr. Scary Smart.
Oh, thanks.
I think that's your friend
What's
Dave.
better than H. Lecter?
Carl is also, no, this is our people who are participating with the Facebook Live feed, of which we are, so they can see the doctor as well. Carl checked in, he said, I hope you're training someone to help people after you retire.
Who says I'm going to retire? You know, why would I do that?
He said, you're one of the, goes on to say you're one of the most reliable people every time who I've ever come into contact with in my life.
Well, thank you. Yeah,
that's pretty high.
But I haven't missed a day with this COVID thing. It's just been, you know, why in the world, okay, would you close a medical practice, okay, for an epidemic? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. What a bunch of sissies. Okay, well, I'm not going to go in because I might catch it. You know, that's like the town's on fire, but the firemen are going home because they don't want to get hot.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, give me
a fan.
Give me a break. Okay, well, we have a riot going on out there, and the cops are leaving because they don't want to get stones thrown at them. No, when I was in the military, you did not run from the shooting; you run towards it, right?
Yeah,
you wore the uniform.
That is how it works. Yes,
that's
I
how
did.
it works.
Yeah, I ran towards it.
You ran towards it. Okay, that's the way that it goes. You know, I've gone to war twice. You don't run from it.
You have a question here on Facebook. Hi Doc, how can you recommend supplements, if any, to help osteoarthritis in my knees? Both knees have bone on each side of the knee, which sounds very painful.
Yeah, it can be, but you need to sort this one out. Okay, the pain fibers are actually in a membrane that surrounds the bone called the periosteum. And when it wears away bone on bone, that membrane is gone, which means so are the pain fibers. So if something is hurting, it's not the bone on bone. What I do for folks that have severe osteoarthritis is several things. One, I start them on oral MSM. MSM stands for methylsulfonylmethane. It's a big, ugly tablet. This thing's about the size of your little digit, okay? And you can take it. I take 2 of them a day. Your body sucks it up very, very easily, and it's a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory. What that means is that it doesn't have any net effect on the kidney that's problematic. It's an antioxidant, and it's cheap. but it's a great anti-arthritic. The second thing you take is a product that's called Lubricin. Lubricin is hyaluronic acid. It's a liquid. Now, why do I use this stuff? Because it's less expensive than the tablets. So you do about 1 tablespoon of hyaluronic acid once a day. It does a couple things. Now, this is where it gets smart. If you get more than one bang for your buck, then you're actually doing something cool. So what does MSM do? Oral MSM is a vasodilator. It makes your nails and skin grow faster and better. Oh, very, very interesting. Okay. Second thing that it does is it facilitates absorption of other medications through your GI tract, as well as being an antioxidant and the anti-arthritic. So the stuff is brilliant. But what does Lubricin do? Hyaluronic acid. Okay, it is what the body uses it to create the liquid that's on the inside of the joints, the lubricating fluid. Okay, it's called the tenosynovium or the synovial fluid. But what else does it do? Your skin sucks it up. It loves it. Okay, and it makes your skin more pretty, like mine. Okay, it makes your hands and your feet look a whole lot better, like I guess like mine, maybe not. Okay, they're kind of gnarly.
My studio.
You know, there you go. So what does Lubricin do for you? Okay, it makes your knees feel better, but but it does a whole bunch of good things for the rest of your body. It'll help you with your eyes and helps you with your ears, which are also very dependent on hyaluronic acid for the liquid that's inside. What else do you do? I use a product called Kinky's Lotion, which is MSM. It's a suspended solution. For your knees, what you do is you put it behind the knees. So you sit down, get your legs into a 90-degree position, and you put a squirt of this on your hands and put it into the small portion behind the knee. It goes in at about 15, 20 seconds, and your knees will start to feel better. It is wickedly cool. If you want to try it, you can come in the store, the Stages of Life store. We have some samplers there. You can try it out and see if it works for you. So what I tell people is you sit down, slap it on. If it makes you feel better, you know it's the right thing. If it isn't, don't waste your money. And you'll know within 15 to 30 seconds. It is fast.
That's good stuff.
That's how you do it. That's where I would start with the arthritis until I could see some lab work on you.
Now, these things can all be found
Stages
at
of Life.
Okay,
Yeah, Stages of Life, vitamins.com.
Mm-hmm.
So the Kinky's Lotion, I invented that for my daughter's horse, when she was about 12 years old, 10, 12 years old. So she had a horse, and she was one of these little kids with the hats and the boots, and you send them to these shows, and for all this money you spend on these horse things, they give you a $3 ribbon if the kid does as well as 6 other kids in there. I mean, but the kids love this stuff. Great, very expensive thing. So her horse would come up lame, which means you have to call who? The horse doc. Now, if you think that human docs are expensive, you call the vet sometime. So the vet would come out, and the horse has 4 extremities, okay? 2 knees, 2 hocks, okay? And, this is the way these things work. And when they inject them, it's $460 to $500 each. That's too big, right? That is $2,000. So I came up with this idea to have this stuff so you could apply it to the horse's hocks, knees, fetlocks, withers, and whatnot, and it worked. So we produced a product called Hockeys, which was used on and still is used on racetracks. It's kind of neat because it doesn't test. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Okay. So then the horse handler started stealing it. And so then, I don't know, I was trying to figure this out until I realized that they were treating their hands, their knees, their elbows. And I thought, well, maybe I'll start trying it on my patients. And it's been that way ever since. So for about the past 15 years, we've been treating patients.
There you go. You're listening to Stages of Life with Dr. David Klein. We do this Sundays at 4 o'clock, north of Orlando on 94.1, south of Orlando on 93.1, all over the state of Florida, AM 540. And, of course, you can catch us all over the world on the iHeart Radio app. We will be right back. Got to take a quick time out. Support our sponsors, please, including Pharmacy Specialists.
Oh, I love those guys. I've known them for 30 years. Good people. They do all of my HRT work.
And we are on a commercial break. Yay! You learn anything from the doc?
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, so what's it, Dr. Smarty? What did you say? Super smart?
I don't know.
Scary smart. Scary smart.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
All right.
So what do we got up there?
Now I'm trying to get this thing.
So let's see, Filikowski, he advertised on us?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, let's see if we can get back in there. Great. All right, we got, can't get back in. That's all right.
Oh, no. Wrong button.
No, not me. That's the boss.
What's he going to call him? Let me in. Let me in. This is the reality of this telemedicine. Okay, now telemedicine's easy relative to teleradio.
Oh, it's just getting so much better, though. You know, it's like everybody wants. They think that the side that it's all this. This is it. This is the internet. This is the way it should be. Yeah, and you're like, well,
you know,
some things you really have to do in person.
It's nice to be able to look at people, especially the producers. Okay, because they're sitting there. They've got their clock. You can't see it, although I can see your clock, which is kind of nice. But you don't know when you're supposed to start and stop. You know, so and especially when you're going on something that's not scripted. Okay, and I've been doing this sort of thing for over 20 years, well over 20 years, and I've never had a script.
Yeah.
Now I do have cue cards because I can't remember the numbers. Okay, I can't remember my birth date. Okay, just if the truth be known, I never could. So we have all the numbers. You know, 94.1, 93.1, AM 540, yada yada. I can't remember any of that stuff because it's not important to me. So I write it down. The medical stuff, no, that's in my head. Okay, so people say, well, you must have a computer in front of you so you can look this stuff up. And the answer is no, you're confusing me with somebody else. I don't know how to use a computer.
Oh, stop.
That's pretty good.
You're fibbing.
No, I do not know how to use a computer.
Okay.
So, but I just assume not be distracted by it when I'm on the air.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense. It really does.
If I don't know it by now, I'm not going to know it. So, why sit back and then try to pick stuff up?
Oh gosh,
makes no sense. Now if it were silly stuff, like automobile error codes, who the heck remembers all that stuff? I mean, I can't think of anything less meaningful in one's life. Although, we had an issue at the Klein household this past week. Okay, with a dryer. Okay, washer dryer. Okay, the dryer did fine, but it's the washer that was the problem.
Oh,
so it stopped working. Okay, now that's a problem. Okay, when you're married to an interior designer, you can't have one thing go bad. It means you have to replace all of it because it all has to match. Okay, you got to understand. All right, so this is an expensive deal.
Yeah.
So she goes ahead and the error code pops up. Okay, so and Tess, my wife. All right.
That's her.
Nothing is all that precise.
She
got the code wrong. It almost cost us 2 G's.
Sound any better? I almost got you, 2D.
$2,000.
We get 20 seconds. That's our.
Linda comes up with some good bump music.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
That's Nunez Productions.
It is. Yeah, you can check that out.
Yeah, she does okay.
Dr. Scary Smart likes it.
I like it a lot, actually. That would have been a good.
Welcome back to Stages of Life Radio every Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock here on News Radio WFLA Orlando. Yes, you might recognize the voice. It's Melissa Fox from Good Morning Orlando. And, of course, Dr. David Klein, because it's his show. I'm just here to help him out.
Yeah, when Howard Stern's not around.
Oh,
always
stop.
works.
You can call in if you like, 407-422-1212. Again, 407-422-1212. Or you can text a question in if you like, 23680. Also, we are broadcasting on all kinds of different platforms, social media-wise. So follow us on Facebook at Stages of Life Medical Institute. Now, we were talking with the doc about the thyroid. That's been the main theme of the show today. We paused for a minute to talk about the rapid testing that you do have available for COVID. A couple of folks were wondering where they could find that in the Central Florida area. The deets are that basically you can do the test here, but it's still got to be taken up to Jacksonville to take care of it. Or if you felt like doing a little road trip, woo.
Yeah, you could
do that.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on your level of comfort and how fast you need to have things done. So the laboratory, the commercial lab, is on the second floor of the VA building in Jacksonville. It's a fairly big facility that we've got. So what do? We have 150 phlebotomists and others, nurses and whatnot across the state that actually do this, the blood draws, they do the samplings, the nasal swabs and whatnot, those things that have to be done. And so then the samples are handed off. It's like one big relay race across the state until the stuff ends up in Jacksonville, usually by 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. The medication, the blood work is then run. The COVID stuff they're prepped, because they have to be prepped before they're put into the PCR machine, and then it's all run by 3 o'clock in the morning. So we start at 6 in the morning and we finish at 4 in the morning.
Wow.
So that is a long day.
That's a big day.
So
yeah.
how is it you guys can do it in
How
24?
Is it possible?
Because we work hard. Okay.
And you've got the machine too.
We work. Yeah, we got the machine. We have the probably the fastest PCR machine in the country. And so it will do between 380 and 1,800 studies per hour, depending upon how they're prepped. So if you do the pooling studies, you can pool them depending upon the incidence of and prevalence of COVID within your community. So you may pool 6 to 10, in which case we can do 3,000 an hour. Or if you're in Orlando, okay, where your incidence may be 30%, 20 to 30%, you can't pool them at all. So then we're down to 380 per hour. So that's still a lot per day. It's a lot of testing.
That's a heck of a lot of testing.
It's a heck of a lot of
but
testing.
you've got the machines that pull it off.
We do it. Yeah. We had them. That's the beauty in this. You couldn't get these machines after COVID hit. We bought ours 6 months before the disaster. So it was just a simple matter of waiting until we could get our reagents.
So the COVID hotline, and the numbers sprawled across the screen if you're watching us on YouTube or Periscope or Facebook. But for you or listening possibly on the radio today, 407-636-3945. Again, 407-636-3945. Or you can go to FloridaLaboratoryAnalysis.com, right?
Yeah, you can check us out there. We do employer testing. So this is large groups of people. We'll do entire nursing homes. You call us tomorrow, we can schedule you Tuesday. So 407-255-4371. We have a lot of people to deploy. So if you have somebody in Titusville, we can have them out there. If you've got somebody in Tallahassee, we've got people out there. So what does it mean? It means we're actually able to go out and take care of you. Now, are we going to travel halfway across the country to do one person? Probably not. I don't think you can afford that.
Well,
Well, there are people that think,
If
well,
they
I don't
pay.
know. Yeah, well, no, actually, we had some folks in Honolulu. We had some folks in Anchorage, where they couldn't get a ship going until we were able to get them treated.
Take a junket.
We had an ammunition ship in Jacksonville Harbor that had to leave, and so we had to get in there to test the captain so that they could get that boat out of harbor. If you don't think that's a big issue,
it's a huge issue.
Get a look at Beirut right now.
Oh,
okay,
gosh.
there was an explosion there that took out half the city from what was basically an ammunition ship.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, fireworks and whatnot.
Yeah, it was ammonium nitrate. 2,700 tons of ammonium nitrate, and you ended up with $15 billion worth of damage. So they did not want this to happen to Jacksonville, so they asked us to go do it, and we did it.
Wow.
Yeah, the Navy asked us. So
very impressive.
Very cool. Yeah.
So you're getting the top-notch stuff here with Dr. David Klein. 5 board certifications, pain management. The idea, though, of pain management is you don't want them on the opioids.
No.
You want them to get off of that crap and get their lives back.
The trick is that when people are in pain, okay, this is what got me interested in the first place was, is it chronic pain? The answer is no. You have somebody that has acute pain that's chronic in nature. So if you have migraine, okay, every time you have a migraine, that's not a chronic pain issue. It comes and goes. It's like labor pains. I used to be an obstetrical anesthesiologist. That's not a chronic pain situation. That's repetitive trauma.
Oh.
So if you've got somebody that's got, let's say chronic low back pain due to back surgery, this is kind of an interesting problem. What is continuing to hurt? Why is it continuing to hurt? So you give them opiates, you give them anti-inflammatories, you give them anticonvulsants, and they don't get better. It controls it a little bit. You have to figure out why they're still hurting. And frequently it's something as easy as osteoporosis. You think about, why would osteoporosis hurt? Okay, well, if you've had your back or neck operated on and you have screws and bolts and plates in there, every time you move it hurts. Why? Because those screws loosen up a little bit against the bone. So if your bone is osteopenic, that means that it's not dense enough. Those screws move.
Ooh,
so
that's got to be painful.
And it hurts. So what you do is you harden the bone. And wouldn't you know it, it makes a huge difference. What does it take to do that? Frequently it takes balancing thyroid, balancing gonadotropins, balancing cortisol. So let's say that you're out there right now and you're taking pain medications. God bless you. Okay? One of the things that I like to check is cortisol levels. Why? Because pain medications chase cortisol levels into the trash. All right? And so when that happens, that's the body's main natural anti-inflammatory. So if you don't know that you've made somebody Addisonian with your hydrocodone or oxycodone or Dilaudid, they continue to get worse. So, I got interested in this about 40 years ago. So what happens when somebody has RSD? Okay, causalgia, they used to call it, Sudex atrophy, something they call it complex regional pain syndrome now. It's all the same disease. It hasn't changed since it was first seen in the 1860s. What I found there got me really interested in thyroid disease is that every one of the patients with CRSP, the complex regional pain syndrome, every one of them had autoimmune thyroid disease. And I started treating these folks.
Wow.
And then I started getting patients referred from the NIH because this was interesting enough to them to have them start sending me patients. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, don't get me started on fibromyalgia. I hate when people throw that up at me, chronic, what is the other one?
Chronic fatigue syndrome.
Yeah.
No, these are not diseases with no known cause. That is nonsense. The number one cause of fibromyalgia, wouldn't you know it, is hypothyroidism.
What? Oh, come on.
Yeah, hypothyroidism causes fibromyalgia. So if you don't treat it, what else will cause fibromyalgia? Hyperparathyroidism. Okay, so you'll see this is a cousin to thyroid disease. So I check everybody that comes through the door for parathyroid disease. It's supposed to be a rare illness. Well, if we're so darn rare, why do we pick up 5 or 6 a month?
Wow.
Because we look. Go figure. So, parathyroid disease is not as uncommon as they say. So the whole trick to this business is to keep your eyes open, your ears open, and to keep your mind open.
Right.
Okay, because just because you don't know what's causing something